Hello, and welcome to Social Security Update on METV, Manatee Educational Television. Our show today concerns a topic that sooner or later applies to virtually all Americans, preparing to file for Social Security benefits. I'm Darrell Rosenthal, Social Security Public Affairs Specialist, and I'm privileged to have Jeanette Cowan, a technical expert with the Bradenton Social Security Office, as my guest today. We're going to provide you with information that will help you become more knowledgeable about Social Security and get the most out of your benefits. Hi, Jeanette.
Hello.
And welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Before we get started, could you tell us what you do? What is your role as a technical expert?
My role at the Social Security Office is to take claims for a variety of topics, either the Social Security retirement, disability benefits, SSI, which is supplemental security income, but also I do training and mentoring of the new employees and other topics as assigned.
That's great. In my role as public affairs specialist, I help educate the public about our benefits. And that leads us to a great tool that people can use as a starting point to learn about Social Security and their benefits, and that's called the My Social Security account. The My Social Security account, as you know, is a free, secure, online planning and customer service tool that lets people conduct Social Security benefits without having to go into an office or call the 1-800 number. What are some of the actions you can do with the account?
Yeah, the My Social Security account is very helpful to both people that are currently on benefits and those that are not. If someone's not currently receiving benefits, they can get their Social Security statement, and that's what usually comes in the mail every 5 years. But it should have a list of all the jobs that they've worked and paid their Social Security taxes into, and also an estimate of what their benefits would be at age 66, at their full retirement age, or at age 70. And it's important to look that over and make sure that all the jobs are listed in there and nothing's missing. If someone is, the benefits are based on the highest 35 years of work over their lifetime, adjusted for inflation. So all of the work counts in the Social Security benefit. If someone's already getting benefits, they can use the My Social Security account to change their address, start or change direct deposit information. They can get a benefit verification letter or a 1099 at tax time, order a new Medicare card. In the future, you're going to be able to use that My Social Security account to order a Social Security card. That hasn't reached Florida yet, but that's in the pipeline.
Okay, and we should also point out that if you're under 60 years of age, we're only sending out the paper estimate every 5 years. Mm-hmm. So that's another good reason to go again and get this account.
Mm-hmm. You can print it anytime you want.
Okay. And the Social Security website has a lot of great tools, and one of them is the retirement planner. So what are some of the things you can do with that?
Yeah, there's a lot of great information you can get on that Social Security website. You can put in your own information and use the benefit calculators to determine what those benefits would be at various stages. And you can also look at what if scenarios to project future earnings. And you can put down information about what if you earn more, or what if you earn less in the coming years, or what if you stop working at a certain point, how those scenarios would affect your benefits. You can find out how to apply for benefits online. There's a lot of information on different calculators. There's a full retirement age calculator, information about earnings and work and how that affects benefits. There's a lot of frequently asked questions, a lot of things that you can do on our website.
Also, it lets you do, right now, the full retirement age for people that are born in 1954 or just before then is 66, but it's gradually going to go up. Right. So the retirement planner lets people know what their full retirement age, because for a lot of people their full retirement age could be 66 and 6 months or 66 and 8 months, and this lets them know. And also, it lets you know how much you're allowed to earn in retirement, because that affects your check, right? Your
Right.
eligibility, how much you could get.
Yes, if someone is under that full retirement age, whether it's 66 or 67 or some point in between, there's a limit on how much they can work and earn and get those Social Security retirement benefits at the same time. Currently, the annual earnings test limit is $15,720. So if someone's under full retirement age and earns more than that, then their benefits are affected. For example, if they earn $2,000 over the limit, we're going to take $1 for every $2 over the limit from their Social Security benefits. So if they're over by $2,000, we'll take $1,000 from their benefits. So we'll hold back one check or two checks or however many it takes to make up that $1,000.
Okay, and also that retirement test is also there when the year you reach full retirement, and it goes up to 41,880, and then if you earn over that amount, we withhold $1 for every 3 you go over. And then when you reach full retirement, though, there's no longer a limit,
No more
right?
test, right. No more limits once you reach your full retirement age. You can earn as much as you want.
Okay. And so we were talking just now about what you can do just with that retirement planner, but our website has a lot more to offer than just that. So what are some of the other things that people can do when they get on the Social Security website?
There's a lot of benefit calculators, and there's actually that earnings test calculator where you can put in what you think you might be earning and how that would affect your benefits. There's a life expectancy calculator to kind of get an idea of how long you might be expected to live and how long those benefits would have to last. That can affect your planning as far as when you want to start taking those benefits. There are frequently asked questions on every topic that you search on the website. There's publications that you can print out or look at, and you don't have to order them. There's information about even ordering a Social Security card, like what kinds of ID you need for a Social Security card. So there's a lot of information on our website.
That's true. And even such things as finding the latest news. When the year's over, it's publicized what the Social Security cost of living increase will be.
Right.
This past year there wasn't one, but normally there is. So even update information like that people can find on our website. So our website is really a great tool. How does a person file for Social Security benefits?
You can file for benefits online. The Social Security website has a link to file for retirement benefits. You can actually file for Medicare only. If you don't want the retirement benefits yet, you could file for spouse's benefits on the internet. But for that retirement benefit, the main thing to look at is get all the information about what your benefits would be at various stages, and when you decide on when you want those benefits to start, you're going to put that on the application as your month of election, when you want to begin your eligibility for benefits. The rest of the questions on there are very easy. It's basic information about you. There will be some information about direct deposit, like your routing number and account number. If you're married or had marriages that lasted 10 years or more or ended in death. So it's just basic information about you that you'll know. So some people are intimidated about filing for Social Security retirement benefits online, but it's very easy. But if you're not comfortable with that or not able to, you could use any computer, whether you have one at home or a friend's house. There's actually Social Security offices now have a self-help desk where you can use a computer there if you want to file for those benefits. But if you don't want to file on the computer, you can actually call and make an appointment. We offer appointments either in office or by phone, so you can call ahead of time so that you wouldn't be waiting in the lobby. We highly encourage people not to just come in and hope to be seen on that same day, because our appointments are already booked up for the day, and all the claims representatives are already booked with appointments, so it would be difficult to work someone in. You can do that, but it would make a long wait time if you decide to come into our lobby. But you can call and make an appointment or file for those Social Security retirement benefits online.
Okay. And if somebody's filing online, what happens if they get interrupted or they have to go back in or do it another day? Is there a mechanism in place for that?
Right. They'll give you a re-entry number so that you can go back into a saved application. Let's say you're not sure of all the information and you want to go back and come back to that website later. You can go back in with that re-entry number and pick up where you left off and get all the way through to the end.
Okay. And also, is there a way of checking your status?
Right. There's a way to check on the website the status of your application to see if it's approved yet or if it's still being processed. And you'll be able to check with your My Social Security account, you'll be able to check your benefit amount and update any information as it happens. You can call the 1-800 number, which is 1-800-772-1213. That's our national number. It's nationwide from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Like I say, we can also use that website for a lot of information about filing for benefits.
And if you do file online and you're a little afraid of what you put in, what happens next? Does somebody look at that? How does that
yes.
work?
Yes, it's not processed automatically. Somebody that's a claims representative would be looking at your claim, and if there's questions, they'll contact you, they'll call you, or send you a letter in the mail for any feedback on that. One of the things we'll look at is to see if there might be higher benefits on a spouse that you could file for. So that's why we ask for that marriage information. If there's something wrong with the routing number and account number, we'll call you to update that. So you don't be afraid of trying to file online, because if there's any questions that arise afterwards, we'll contact you.
And most of the questions are pretty basic, right? Most people, right off the bat, they're going to know their information with the kinds of questions that we ask.
It's pretty basic information.
And it doesn't take that long to file online.
It's a pretty quick process.
So what are the kinds of claims that you can actually file online?
You can file for Social Security retirement or Medicare only, because some people want to file for Medicare at age 65, but they're not ready to file for their Social Security benefits yet. They want to wait and let those benefits grow higher, because you can file anytime between age 62 and 70. Any month in between, that benefit will keep on going up the longer you wait. So you can file for Medicare only. You can file for spouses benefits. The only thing you can't do online right now is survivor's benefits or SSI, that's supplemental security income. Those aren't available on the internet yet.
Okay, so you can even apply for disability online if you
Right, Social
so
Security
desire.
disability is online. Not the SSI part, but Social Security disability. You can file for that benefit online and put all your medical information in there too.
Okay, well that's great. So that people should know that you can file for virtually everything online except survivor's benefits, if concerning the regular type of Social Security benefits. Okay, so what are the advantages of applying at one time versus another?
Right. There's a lot of options to when you want your Social Security retirement benefits to begin. You can start as early as age 62 for that early retirement. The earliest possible is the month that you're 62 for an entire month. So if your benefit's in the middle of, your birthday's in the middle of June, then July would be the month that you turn 62 for the whole month, and then that July benefit would come in August. It's always a month behind. So 62 is the earliest, 70 is the latest. That's the highest it could possibly grow. Or you could file at full retirement age, which for most people right now is 66, because at that point there's no limit on how much you can earn. But you can choose any month in between, and each month that you wait, it grows higher and higher. So there are advantages to both ways. If you file early, you're getting a reduced amount, but you're getting more checks altogether, more checks over your lifetime. If you file later, the benefit would be a higher amount, but you're having less payments. So if you wait 4 years, that's 4 years of checks you didn't get, even though the benefit is higher. Now, eventually, by the time you reach your late 70s, the amount would actually reach a break-even point. So it would be about the same as if you'd filed earlier or later. So everyone should look at their own situation and their own budget and financial situation to see what would be best for them. And we can just give them the choices, and then they can choose when they want those retirement benefits to begin. You might want to consider your health and your family history and what your life expectancy might be. If you have a family that lives way into their 90s or something, you might want to consider waiting longer because that benefit would be higher. So it's basically up to the individual to make a choice.
One thing you said, I just want to make sure our audience understands, with Social Security, when we say you have to be 62 and you have to be 62 for the whole month, how does that work? What's an example of that?
Right, so if somebody turned 62 right now on June 28th, the benefit for July would be the first month that you're 62 for the entire month. That's the first month you can choose to begin those benefits. That could be your month of election. And the July benefit would come in August, because the benefits are always paid a month behind.
Right, okay. And if somebody files, people might be wondering, well, what are some examples of how this actually all works? So let's say your benefit at full retirement, if your full retirement is 66, is $1,000. So if you file at 62, it's reduced by 25%.
About 25%.
So they get $750.
Mm-hmm.
So people have to make that kind of decision.
Right.
But actually, if they wait to 70, your benefit goes up by 8% a year, right? From
That's the-
66 until 70?
Right. That's the delayed retirement credit. So if people want to file later after that full retirement age, each year that they wait beyond that full retirement age, it's an 8% increase. So they could file all the way at 67, 68, 69, or 70, and that's the highest it could possibly go is age 70.
So you're not going to find too many investments out there that actually pay you a guaranteed rate of 8% a year. So
Right.
if people are lucky enough and their personal circumstances are good enough that they can wait, that is the optimum amount for their Social Security, their best case scenario, right?
That's the highest possible, right?
So we're not financial advisors, but we can give you that basic information, and you have to do what's best for you, right? If people reach that age of 62 and they've stopped working and they're just not going to work anymore and they need the money, they can file. But if they are fortunate enough to have some choices, then they can do what you said,
Right.
right? Look at their family health, their history, their personal history, and see what's going to work out best for them. Because if you file early, your benefit doesn't,
Right.
in most
You're
cases,
locked into
change after that, right?
Right. You can't come in at 66 and say, where's my higher benefit now? You chose reduced benefits. You are locked into that lower rate. The only increase might be a cost of living increase. Hopefully we're going to have them most of the time, but this year we didn't. Now, one of the scenarios to consider is that if you file at 62, you're getting that earliest possible benefit because you're laid off and you need the money right now. What if you get a job and you start working and you're earning so much that your benefits are stopped because you're over that annual earnings limit? Actually, when you reach your full retirement age, we do a recomputation that's going to give you credit for those years that you, or the months that you didn't get a check. Each month you didn't get Social Security payments because of your work. That's going to be recomputed so that your benefit is higher. It would be as if you'd filed later rather than earlier. So your benefit would increase the year after you turn your full retirement age. So that's a possibility too. You're not just regretting the fact that you filed at 62, you're going to get credit for those months that you didn't get a Social Security benefit because your work was too high.
So there's not actually a penalty if you work and earn too much, as long as you let us know.
Right.
And you actually end up getting credit, like you just said, for those checks you didn't receive because you earned too much. Your benefit is recalculated. So it's not a bad thing if a person files and then gets a job that they consider better, so they decide to go back to work. We only ask that they let us know.
Right.
It's only when people don't let us know when they earn too much, then they're overpaid.
Right.
So as long
'cause
as they...
IRS will let us know if you did work, and eventually you'll get an overpayment letter. So when you first file your benefits, we're going to say, what do you think you're going to earn this year? And then each year you should call and let us know what you think you'll be earning that year so we can hold back enough checks so you won't have an overpayment. But eventually the information will come through when those IRS tax returns are filed, and we'll find out about the earnings.
Okay, great. And when a lot of people file, a lot of couples, whether they're married or divorced, they look at their spouse or ex-spouse's earnings history, and they assume that if their spouse has had a higher earning career than them, that they are automatically going to receive spouse's benefits. Is that the way it works?
No, it's not automatic. For spouse's benefits, one spouse's earnings have to be more than twice as much as the other spouse's. So if the husband's working and the wife has never worked, like a lot of women used to be a stay-at-home housewife, that wife could get 50% of her husband's benefit when she reaches her full retirement age. So if the spouse worked and earned $2,000, his benefit amount is $2,000, then the wife could get $1,000. But if she's worked and she's earned enough to earn on her own record $1,200 for her benefit at full retirement age, then she'll get her $1,200 and she won't get anything for a spouse's benefit. Let's say the spouse is only going to get $800 at her full retirement age. Then she could file for spouse's benefits and get an additional $200 so that the total benefit for her will be $1,000. $200 of it comes from her spouse's record, and the regular $800 is on her own record. So she files on her own retirement first, and then we look to see if there's another benefit that would be an increase for her. Now also, divorced spouses might have potential to have eligibility on an ex-spouse. So if someone was married 10 years or more and is currently unmarried, then we can look to see if there's an eligibility on their spouse's benefit. So that's why we ask for any marriages that lasted 10 years or more, because there's a potential benefit there.
Okay. And what if somebody, let's say you have, for example, you have a husband they're over 62 and they have a younger spouse, and
That's
so
right.
they have younger children. How does that work?
Right. The qualification for a spouse's benefit is either the spouse has to be 62 and over, or if that spouse is taking care of her spouse's child that's under 16, has a child in care, then even a younger spouse could get benefits even before age 62. Now also, if that child is a disabled child, then the child could be over 16 and still the spouse could get benefits for taking care of a child in the household.
Okay. So the key is that that younger spouse has to have a child under the age of 16 or disabled before the age of 22.
Of 22, right.
Right. Okay. And do spouses have to know this information before they come to us?
No, we'll find that information out with the application. We'll look at any marriages to see if there's a potential for a higher benefit on another record. And then, like if you file on the internet, then we'll call the person and say, we see you filed online and there's a potential for a higher benefit on a spouse. So we can just take that claim over the phone and make arrangements to call them another time, or if they've got time right there, we'll just take a claim for spouse's benefits over the phone.
Okay. And spouses, if they're divorced, they don't have to file on the person's record that they were married to last, right?
Right. We can look at any of the prior spouses and see which record would have a higher benefit amount. So if they're divorced from 2 different spouses or 3, as long as they're currently not married and they were married 10 years or more to those spouses, or if the spouse passed away, well, that's widow's benefits or survivor benefits. So there's a potential on a lot of different types of cases.
And what if you were married and you go into the Social Security office and you've had a couple of marriages and you can't provide the Social Security number? What does Social Security do in
That's
those
fine.
cases?
We're going to try to look up that Social Security number, and we'll ask for the spouse's name and date of birth. And usually with that information, we can find that Social Security number and look at that record.
Okay, so we use the ID information that they give us when they file for a Social Security card, right?
Right.
So if we know the name and the date of birth and the place they were born, we usually can get it.
Right.
Okay. Now, when it comes to survivors' benefits, the rules are different for a number of reasons. How do you become eligible for a survivor's benefit,
Right.
for a widow's or
Right.
a widower's benefit?
Well, if someone's married to a spouse that passes away, they can contact the Social Security office and let us know. Usually the funeral home will already notify us of the date of death, so they don't necessarily have to send us the death certificate. But we want to talk to them because if the 2 spouses were living together at the time they passed away, then they'd be eligible for a lump sum death benefit. It's a one-time benefit of $255. So we can make an appointment for that. Since you can't do it on the internet, we'll make either a telephone appointment or in-office appointment to file for that benefit. And then widow's benefits could start as early as age 60, or if the spouse is disabled, as early as age 50. So widow's benefits normally start at age 60. So we can talk to that widow to see what their own benefit is, if they're getting benefits now, or if they're age 60 now, they can actually wait and let that benefit increase a little bit more, because the highest widow's benefit is age 66. There's no delayed retirement credits at age 70. So there's some options in there. Another thing that widows have is they have more options than other types of claims. A widow can actually claim the widow's benefit now and then wait for her own retirement benefit to grow higher with those delayed retirement credits at age 70 or even a point sooner than that. So when you have that appointment, since you're not going to be doing this on the internet, you're going to be talking to a claims representative, and they can explain these options to you and the options down the road also. So we can look at what the benefit will be for that individual on their own retirement record as the months go by and as the benefit increases, and they can contact us to file on their own record and switch over at some point in the future. So they might start with the widow's benefit and then switch over to their own retirement benefit.
Okay, and then one thing I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
One thing that we talked about a minute ago in the spouse's benefits is what happens if it is, unfortunately, a younger parent dies and they have a young child.
Right, so a widow that's under 60 that also has a child in their care, a child under 16, they can file for that widow's benefits as a young widow before they're 60. So if the widow has young children in the household that belong to that person that passed away, they could file for the child and care benefits for that young widow.
Okay, so that's another option.
And the children could also get benefits on that as a survivor on that record. So you might have a young widow and several children all getting benefits on the record of the person that passed away.
Okay, now how does Social Security benefits work if, let's say that a couple, both were already getting Social Security benefits and they're not divorced, for instance, and so the husband is getting their benefits and the wife or spouse gets their benefits, and then one of them dies. So how does that work for the survivor?
If the person's already on their record, let's say the wife is already getting spouse's benefits because her earnings history was a lot less than 50% of her husband. So if that widow's already on the record, it might be an automatic conversion, and they might already get that lump sum death benefit automatically with no appointment and already get those Social Security benefits increased to that higher percentage that a widow can get. If they're under their full retirement age, though, then they might have a choice, and we're not going to automatically convert those benefits. So we'll want to contact them and see if they want the benefits to start right away or if they want to wait, because there's some options in there. We'll want to have a conversation about that with them.
Okay, but the key is that, first of all, your benefit has to be the lesser one when your spouse dies, because if you're already getting the higher benefit, then you would just stick with yours, right?
Right. Then the only thing we could apply for is that lump sum death benefit and nothing else for widows because they're already getting more on their record.
Okay, yeah, because you can't get both together. I mean,
Right.
both benefits, you either get yours
One or
or
the other.
theirs. So back to the situation where you're a survivor and you're hitting your retirement age. So just to make sure that we all understand this is all clear, that it's only your benefit that keeps going up past the full retirement age, correct?
Right. A widow's benefit or survivor benefit would max out at the full retirement age, 66 or 67. It cannot increase to age 70, so it just stays as high as that. The only thing that increases with delayed retirement credits up to age 70 is a person's own record, their own retirement benefit.
So your own benefit, I guess the optimum situation then would be to, if you can, you file for the survivor's benefit first, and then wait to age 70 to switch over to yours, because that way you're getting a benefit along the way, but yours is the only benefit that can increase from full retirement age up until 70.
That's right.
So that would be the best case scenario. But of course, there are some people, let's say, of the couple, one didn't work much, they might qualify for Social Security, but the other benefit is much better. So in that case, the person might just take the greater benefit and stick with it.
Right, and we can project down the road to see, it could be that the widow's own benefit would never get high enough to exceed what they can get as a widow. And we'll look at that situation when we file the benefit to see if it would be worth her while to wait on her own record, or if it's never going to get higher, just keep the widow's benefit.
Okay. And if you're widowed, are you allowed to remarry at any time and still keep your benefit? And if so, when is that? How does that work?
Yes, if someone's already getting widow's benefits and they do remarry, if that remarriage is after age 60, it would not penalize you. The benefits could still continue on the spouse that passed away. But also, if you do get married, we can also look to see if it would be a higher benefit on the new spouse, if 50% of their benefit might be higher. But we'll compare all those options also. But if a remarriage happens after age 60, then that's okay. It's not going to stop that widow's benefit.
And in that situation that you're describing, if somebody had a prior marriage and that ex-spouse is alive, and then what happens if that ex-spouse dies at some time.
Right. We can definitely look at that scenario if someone finds out that someone they were married to in the past and had been married to at least 10 years, if they pass away, then there might be a benefit called surviving divorced spouse. So we can look to see if it would be a higher benefit to file that ex-spouse's record that's passed away.
Okay. I think it's also worth noting, too, we want to make sure that our audience understands Social Security does not know everything about people, so if one of these things occurs, if you become widowed, then you need to let us know. You have to initiate the contact with Social Security. Okay. One subject that people are really concerned with these days, especially as you get older, we need more and more medical coverage. And with Social Security, you pay your Social Security taxes, you pay your Medicare taxes, and then you become eligible for Medicare. So what are the different types of Medicare?
Medicare Part A covers hospitalization only, so that's if you're admitted to the hospital. And normally Medicare Part A is free. You only need 10 years of work or 40 quarters to qualify for free Medicare Part A. Medicare Part B covers about 80% of doctor bills and things like x-rays and blood tests. It doesn't cover prescription benefits. Prescription medicine would be under Part D. The Medicare Part D plan, that's an optional plan that you can contract with a company and sign up with some company that would carry that prescription drug benefit, but that's up to you. Basically, at Social Security, we're concerned with Part A and Part B. So at 65, that's the earliest you can file for Medicare. A few other ways to get Medicare would be if someone's on Social Security disability benefits for 24 months, then Medicare would start automatically. If someone has end-stage renal disease, dialysis, or kidney transplant, they could get Medicare. And then also Lou Gehrig's disease, or ALS. That's one of the other exceptions. Most of the time it starts at age 65. So if someone's already getting their Social Security benefits, they filed for early retirement, that Medicare is going to start up automatically. They don't have to file a separate application. That Medicare card's going to come in the mail showing Part A and Part B. Now it'll have instructions on there that if you don't want Part B, because it's not free, Part B is not free, it's usually $121 a month or $121.80. If you're getting benefits, that's subtracted from your benefit amount, so that's the monthly premium. If you're not getting benefits, then you would pay Medicare directly for those premiums. Now, some people say they don't want Part B because they're still working and they have health insurance at work, and that's okay. They can actually opt not to get that Part B yet. So if they get that Medicare card, they would want to follow the instructions on there to stop that Part B. If someone files for Medicare at age 65 and they want Part A only, you can do that online too. Files for Social Security Part A only on the internet and say that you don't want Part B. So if someone is working and has health insurance through work, they're not going to have a penalty for signing up late for Part B. Normally the penalty for signing up late is 10% a year that you waited. If you could have gotten Part B and you wait till years later, 10% a year would be the penalty to sign up late. But if someone's working and has health insurance at work, they're not going to be penalized. But when they do want to start that Part B, there's two forms we need from them. One they fill out and one their employer fills out to verify that they worked from 65 till then and they had health insurance from 65 till then to stop any penalty from going on there. So you can have Part A only and then sign it for Part B later if you're working and you have health insurance at work.
Okay, let's give an example for everybody. If somebody has to go into the hospital, and I think we all know that if we've had to go into the hospital, let's say for surgery, we haven't had just one medical bill. You don't get billed by just one person. So how does that work? The different set of bills, like what would be A and what would be B? How does that work?
The Medicare Part A would cover the hospital if you're admitted and actually overnight. Part B would cover like emergency room visits. If it's just in the emergency room, that would come under Part B. Since we sign people up for Medicare, I'm not as familiar with the different amounts.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I think what we want people to understand, for example, is when you go into the hospital and you're billed by the hospital, that's Part A. Those things such as staying in a room, the meals, the tests, etc. That's Part A. If Dr. Jones treats you, that's Part B. And if you see Dr. Jones at his office or her office later, that's Part B. And just remember that Part B is optional, like you said. But if you're not working and you don't have other insurance, then you don't have full coverage. And Social Security signs you up for Part A and Part B. It's the Part D, the prescription drug care. That's what you get through actual insurance companies. And there's a lot of plans. So you can get on the Medicare website, medicare.gov. It has a prescription drug plan finder. You just get on there, it'll ask for your prescriptions, and it'll narrow down your choices. So remember, you signed up for the Part A and B with us, but not the Part D. And so if you're still working, you don't have to apply for Part B. Like you said, there's no penalty if you want it later. But otherwise, you would apply for it on time. Otherwise, you will be penalized. And that we are running out of time, so we just want to say that we hope you enjoyed our show today on preparing to file for Social Security benefits. I'm Darrell Rosenthal, Social Security Public Affairs Specialist, and I'd like to thank my guest, Jeanette Cowan, technical expert from the Bradenton Social Security Office. Thank you for watching the Social Security Update on ME TV.
Thank you.